Come here, honey, let me get all this icky, sticky pie feeling off of you, and we'll just see who you are, poor little baby boy. Here we go. Oh! What is it?
Oh, egads! Hey, gang! It's a Sasquatch! A Bigfoot! It's Bigfoot! Run!
This is a job for the master. Ed, Hermick! The wall, Ed! Ed, quick! Here it comes!
Yeah!
And so our little tale of terror has finally come to a close. It was 3 weeks before all the staff eventually returned. Mr. Spats never bought the house, and Cliff and Romai are working the next 6 months for nothing. Reynolds went on a diet, and Brad has given up pizza. Lisa is considering a career in weightlifting. The house still stands in Eastvale, empty, just waiting for you to drop by for a visit some night. We'll be waiting. Happy Halloween.
In these unprecedented times, staying informed with accurate information is a necessity, especially in an emergency. Believe it or not, the power to stay informed and be aware of important news alerts in your area is right at your fingertips. Beaver County Emergency Services urges you to sign up for instant mobile message alerts today. It's quick and easy, and once you enroll, Amber Alerts, weather emergencies, and many valuable safety warning and important news bulletin updates will arrive as text messages in your cell phone. Sign up now by visiting beavercountypa.gov. It's free, and it could be a lifesaver for you or somebody else in trouble. Put your fingertips to work and turn your phone into an instant notification alert device. Beaver County Emergency Services, along with other partner organizations, is pleased to make instant notifications available to you, so sign up today.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls. Welcome to the Best of Beaver County, presented by St. Barnabas, a weekly segment dedicated to putting the focus on the amazing things and the amazing people behind them in Beaver County. The Best of Beaver County is sponsored by and content is provided by St. Barnabas. The show airs every Thursday from 11 to 11:30 on WBVP, WMBA, 99.3 FM, and Facebook Live. Now, with no further ado, let's welcome host Mike Romai to introduce today's program.
Good morning and welcome to the Best of Beaver County on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. I'm Mike Romai, and this is the spooky time of year, and I'm not talking about the elections. I'm talking about Halloween, and Halloween is like the second major holiday in this country anymore. People decorate for Christmas, of course, we all do, but I'd say in the last 20 years, people have really gotten deep into Halloween and decorating their homes for Halloween. We all look forward to it, and in my career as a radio host, I have done a number of haunted programs. We've been on location a number of times, conjuring up the spirits of the past, and it's always interesting, very interesting. And in fact, the idea of being a paranormal investigator has also it's also developed and come into the place where electronics and digitalization is a major part of it. We are joined by a gentleman here that has been doing this for over 35 years. His name is Joe Moczan, and he is from Elwood City. His wife, Deb, is also joining us. He is a Elwood City paranormal investigator. Joe and Debbie, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. We really appreciate it.
Good to see you here. And Elwood City is, we were just talking about this before we went on the air, is doing extremely well football-wise this season.
I lived long enough, thank God.
To see them go undefeated.
Yes.
Huh? Very good. Joe, you, it's said in an article I read about you, you've been doing this for more than 35 years now.
That's probably about right.
Yeah. When did you first develop an interest in paranormal?
Some people are haunted all their life. That's been me.
I've been haunted all my life.
But I mean, I've been experiencing things since I was 4 or 5 years old, and I had times where things would happen and not so much. But really piqued my interest is when I moved to a house in Elwood and Franklin Avenue, and I started a journal there. And unfortunately, I don't have my journal, but I can still remember most everything that happened. I mean, it was just crazy. It was just stuff that you could make a B horror movie out of.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was really. Yeah. Then I started getting interested, and I found out there was a group in Elwood, Spirit Talkers, I believe, and that's who you interviewed at Snyder's and stuff. So
the Snyder's Cemetery is out in Moraine.
Yes, it
State
is.
Park. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, old cemetery.
It's not a whole lot bigger in this room, is it, Mike?
That's right. It was
about 2 of these rooms, maybe.
Yeah, and to do that, maybe we should cut the lights and make it a little darker in here to see. Now, this is not an old building. It's not as old as the cemeteries, of course. But I'm sure that if you investigated long enough and walked around the building, you'd be able to pick up on some things.
Oh, I'm quite sure. You never know what was here before.
Right.
You never know what's come here since.
Right, and even the property before it was developed.
Yep, absolutely.
Or something like that. I think this has been here since the 1970s. I believe that's when Michael Baker Jr. built this facility.
Okay.
Back in the day, so until that time. But in terms of what you pick up on, even when you were young, because there are a lot of people who believe that they're picking up on something in their homes. What was one of the first things that you remember?
The first thing that was horrible, we rented a house somewhere around Franklin Avenue, Wayne Avenue. I think I was only about 4 or 5 years old. It was a rental house. And my mom would send me down to the basement to get some tomato paste or soup or whatever it was. And every time I would go down them steps off to my right, there was a commode right on the cellar floor. And there was a guy sitting there like this, big beard, looked like a hillbilly, huge beard, and just staring at me. I could just feel, I get goosebumps thinking about it. Look, feel waves of hatred coming at me. I mean, I was just petrified. I'd hurry up and run over to that and get that and run up and quick. Every time I told my mom and dad, they'd go down there. There's nothing there, see?
Yeah.
It wasn't there.
He was on a commode?
Just sitting there. He wasn't going to the bathroom.
I'm sorry. Okay. I was going to say, maybe that's why he was mad at you.
He was just sitting there like that, just glaring horrible. I mean, that same house, the old-fashioned medicine cabinets, the metal ones where you put the razor blade up top and everything. When I would get in front of that, it was like the 7th inning stretch of a Pirate game. I would hear thousands of voices just everywhere talking. And I would move out of that room, then I wouldn't hear anything, but I'd come back and it would happen. That's when things started, I can remember. I'm going to be 72. I was probably about 5 years old then when that happened.
And did you ever have the house investigated? Did you ever know anything about the past?
Oh, no. That was, like you said, you're going back 65, 60. Nobody did anything like that back then.
Yeah. But you were the only one in the house. You were the only one in the family that ever experienced this.
That I can remember.
Yeah.
We both, my brother Mike and I, he's a year or two younger than me, this house in Bridge Street. It's one of 2 places where everybody in that house, when you'd walk down the steps from the 2nd floor, it was like there was daggers coming in your back. You knew somebody was up there just staring at you, not in a good way. We had an experience there, and it was funny. We worked at the Elwood City Forge one time. We were both retired. And he asked me about 10 years ago, do you remember what happened? I said, Mike, you tell me what happened. I didn't want to. And his notes were exactly as I remembered it. It was a Saturday morning. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. We had a big family back in, 3 kids in each room. We woke up for no reason at all, and we looked out in the hall, and there was a woman. It actually looked like my mom. They used to wear them fuzzy house coats and the slippers.
Sure.
Her hands were down here stiff. What was unusual about it is she was about 2 feet off the ground floating. She floated right into my sister's room, and Mike and I got up as quick as we could. We ran in there because we were scared. There was nothing there. But the unusual thing about it, Mike, is She was a full apparition, except there was no head.
Oh,
But I mean, it was.
that was your mom.
It looked like
In
my mom's
spirit.
house coat.
Okay.
She's still alive and everything.
Okay.
At that
Yeah.
time, she was still alive.
Right.
But it's funny, we both had that same experience, and there was no reason for us both to wake up and all of a sudden look out there.
Uh-huh.
But that house, there was weird things. That house was in Elwood, and I worked as a church sexton. I'm just going to say it was in Franklin Township somewhere,
Okay.
janitor.
Okay.
And I went there, and the Reverend told me, he said, I want to tell you, Joe, that this is going to happen, that's going to happen. You're going to hear voices, you're going to hear talking, doors slamming. Don't bother him. He said, I'm used to it. I just stay in my office, do my work. And he didn't over-exaggerate.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only second place where I would do the upstairs. And you wanted to get that done quick because you couldn't see anything, but you knew you weren't alone.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just like something was born into your back staring at you. That was uncomfortable there. My daughter said she'll never go there for $1 million. But anyhow.
How do you explain this? How do you explain the spirit world or these things that not only you see, but a lot of people in their homes today, they have stories and they share stories in families, but a lot of them don't like to talk outwardly because how do you explain it?
Yeah, I call most of the phenomena that we experience as a paranormal team, and I use it on my page a lot. By the way, if anybody wants to check our forum, it's on Facebook, Digital Paranormal Investigations, just like I'm saying it and spelled. Thank you. Mm-hmm. But I call them the unseen because there's a lot of things that aren't exactly deceased humans in purgatory. I really think that there is intelligent, we'll have to call it life or entities. They don't have a physical body, but they can interact with us and we can experience them. Mm-hmm. I think the paranormal happens a lot more. Most of us just aren't aware. You don't have to have no psychic abilities, but a lot of people just go through their lives with blinders on and get their tasks done and are not aware of what's going on around them.
Mm-hmm. Are they trying to communicate with us?
Yes, there's some of them that actually enjoy talking to us. I have no doubt in my mind, like when we left the Butler building, our recent investigation down in Wampum, they're probably talking for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Because they enjoy that.
Do they?
I didn't bring it, but I have another investigation we did right down the road. Was it the old Brighton one-room schoolhouse down here?
Oh, yeah.
We did it there. And a really interesting EVP right at the very end.
Oh, wait, hold on. Explain EVP for the audience.
EVP is electronic voice phenomena that our digital recorders pick up. It was the phenomena discovered probably back in the 50s, but Edison and Tesla worked on it. They had their little radios where they'd hear voices. But this one person that was somebody that studies birds, I can't remember the proper term for it, he was out in the woods, I think it was in Sweden. His name was Jorgis, I believe, back in the 50s. He'd carry this heavy reel-to-reel tape recorder out there, probably weighs 50 pounds, to record the birds singing and stuff like that. And to his amazement, he kept on hearing people out there talking, and there's nobody within miles of them. And people got onto that, and that's where they got the phenomena. How they actually get on the voice recorders, I only have theories, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Are they these spirits are unseen, as you refer to them?
Yes.
Are they trapped between one level and the earth plane? Or are they just here watching over us?
I think these are my own spiritual and religious beliefs, not necessarily hers or yours or anybody else's. But I do believe in the term maybe purgatory. I think everybody, when they die, has the ability to go to the lights. But everything is free choice. Some are scared of punishment. Some are scared of what's going to happen, something unknown. And some just like it here. It might be attached to a family or whatever. And there's been cases, I've done it, I did it Hillview, and I did this one in Beaver County. And basically, I was under the impression they were young men, maybe in their 20s, and they don't remember anything. They don't know how they got there.
Yeah.
The one guy was in this one room, it's really haunted, and I said, why don't you go? I mean, it's just a cheap room. Then he said, where else would I go? I'm thinking to myself, well, why'd you end up here?
Hillview Manor.
Yes.
Elwood Newcastle Road, right?
Yes, sir.
Out that way. Used to be, what kind of facility was it?
It had a lot of different incarnations and uses. It used to be, it's like a poor farm for families that didn't have any money. It used to be orphans there. It was a medical facility. It treated mental illness and physical disabilities. That pretty much covers it, Deb.
And they,
Yeah. Her friend, Ricky, worked there.
okay. When it was an orphanage or a home, or because I know they now
it was
have
a nursing home.
Yeah. Okay.
He
Pretty
worked
much
with
all
the
the
men.
above, if
Yeah.
you look at the history.
And I know they still give tours of the place
Oh, yes, they did.
year round.
Yep.
Or you can investigate it.
Uh-huh. And what did you find when you were investigating it?
Well,
Wow.
we can just show you one right here. We'll take a
lot of
quick one.
things.
This is an example of an EVP. We're up in the cafeteria, and I found out from a friend of mine that the junior high in Elwood City was going to have a dance. So I'm up there, I'm telling the unseen that they're going to have a dance, and you hear a woman. She got a little emotional when I said this. Let's see if we can hear this. This is my voice rambling on right here.
Okay.
You know there's going to be a dance here?
She said, "Don't lie,"
Okay.
because I thought that was a pretty neat thing. If you're a spirit or a ghost, whatever you want to call it, but up unseen, all of a sudden you get a lot of high school kids up there, junior high kids dancing. I thought
Yeah.
that'd be pretty neat. Play it one more time, see if you can hear it.
Everyone, perhaps.
You know there's going to be a dance here?
So she was awful suspicious, like I was playing
Okay.
games.
So
one
that
thing-
second voice is the voice of the spirit.
the
Yes.
don't lie, yes. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
It sounded to me like she said, I don't know.
No, it says don't lie, Deb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone
play it
has
one more.
different
No,
interpretation.
No, this is everybody I've talked to. You're the only one that said that. Don't lie. But anyhow, that's what
Okay.
they said.
Okay. But I mean, this, if you weren't the only person, but it was nobody else in there with you.
There was
that
one
would
other
make that
person.
sound.
One other person.
That would make that sound.
Yeah.
Just independently of yours.
And one thing, correct. And one thing we always do, we talk and treat them with the utmost respect. Mm-hmm. If I promise them something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And like you probably don't lie. People probably say a lot of things and they don't do them. That's why
Sure.
she said that.
Sure. And I know we live in another time now, a different time than back in the 60s. But when I've spoken with Dr. Cyril Weck many times, when he was the county coroner in Allegheny County, they used to go after dances to the morgue, and couples would go visit the morgue with the bodies and all that stuff.
Oh,
they
wow.
probably won't allow them to do that
Yeah.
anymore, but that's what happened. We're
Yes, it
talking
is.
Well, sounds
with
like fun.
Joe and Debbie Moczan, and we're talking about paranormal experiences, and we'll continue on the Best of Beaver County next.
Oh my goodness, Amy, it's so good to see you.
Jennifer, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Is your mom doing any better?
Thank you for asking. I don't know if I can answer without being emotional. I'm sorry. I'm just tired and worried. I can't always be there for her, and it's so stressful.
I really understand. That's how I was with my dad. I'd recommend calling St. Barnabas. We did. We started with just having them come in for home care. He was so excited to see them show up. And when he needed more, we were able to move him in at Beaver Meadows, where he still has his own home-like space and excellent care.
Thanks for telling me that. I don't even know how to start, but I have to do something.
Oh, you can just give St. Barnabas a call. They have directors that can explain how it all works. Trust me, you'll feel so much better, and so will your mom.
I'm so glad I ran into you.
Visit stbarnabashealthsystem.com or call 724-443-0700 for care apart from the ordinary.
Welcome to the Best of Beaver County on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. We're talking with Joe Moczan. He is a paranormal investigator out of Elwood City. He's been doing this for more than 35 years. And it's not just the investigations, but the experiences that he has had as well. Have you ever gotten calls from people saying, "Hey, Joe, we just sense a little something strange going on in our house"? You go to individual people's houses?
I would estimate we probably did 10 to 12 what we call clearings and cleansings. Mm-hmm. We do them at certain levels. We did a house in Beaver Falls, and the lady was really a sad story. She was a nurse, worked steady night turn, and she was just about the end of her rope. She couldn't sleep. A lot of bad things happened there. Mm-hmm. We went there, and we were just going to do something that really wasn't that serious. But then all of a sudden, something come over me, and I said, this is just completely ridiculous. I'm not coming back, and we went all out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sort of strange down there, but she had no problems.
Yeah. And what do they?
After that.
What do you pick up? How do they present themselves to you? More maybe different than a normal person. And what I mean that is the homeowner or anyone else. How does it how does it communicate with you, and maybe not with other people?
You talking about the unseen, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Debbie's the one to ask that. She has more abilities than what I do.
Okay. All right. The sensitivity that you have, how does that work?
Well, when I walk into a place, I can sense if there's spirits there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I can tell whether it's a male or a female spirit, how many there are,
Mm-hmm.
and things
Okay.
like that.
And where do you get that, not expertise, but where do you get that sensitivity from?
I think I was born with it
Okay.
because I've always been,
Mm-hmm.
I've always had experiences with paranormal things ever since I was like 3 years old.
And do they speak with you, or do they just present themselves to you?
It depends. Sometimes it's sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I can see them, usually out of the periphery of my eye, or I can just sense them there.
Yeah. It's interesting because you talk to people in different places. I've spoken with people from Gettysburg.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about
Oh,
the
boy,
battlefield.
Gettysburg. Wow.
I did a show, as I think I mentioned to you before, from the Harmony Inn in Harmony Township.
Yes.
The Civil War, obviously the Civil War soldiers, the dead there. Harmony Inn and other places, children would come to you. And is that explainable?
Most tragic.
Yeah.
It's we've got a lot of children, crystal clear EVPs.
Mm-hmm.
And the one time, the one boy said, "Are you my daddy? Can I come home with you?" And different things. And we had an instrument called a fleur. Right when we captured that EVP, Debbie had it in her. She asked if there was any children there appear in front of her. And you can see a little child about 4 foot tall. Is that a little boy, Debbie?
It looked like a little boy, but
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to tell when
But
you're
you could
looking
actually,
at things you're not
the
familiar
fleur
with.
gives you a thermal image of the heat.
Okay.
And their signature was like a black or blue, and you could see the form right
It
there. It was
wasn't
pretty
just
clear.
him. There were 5 or 6
Yeah,
behind him, too.
but that was the main thing.
Are these all the result of tragedies in life? You're talking about young children; they died young,
I think so.
tragic deaths. Obviously, Civil War the dead from there, tragic. People who, I don't know, in religious beliefs or things like that, when your time is up, and we all would like to live to a long old life, but in some of these cases where they're not ready to go, it just maybe a car accident or a fire or something like that.
unexpected suddenly.
Death, like a
Yeah,
plane
quick
wreck or a
death.
car
How,
wreck, yeah.
do they tell you? Do they talk to you about those things? I'm talking about the spirit world, the unseen.
I've actually never had one
Mm-hmm.
tell me their demise, how they died. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
But we have had them, I probably have about a dozen of them. I'll play one here before we go.
Mm-hmm.
People telling you their name.
Okay.
One thing you have to remember, Mike, just in life, that doesn't mean they're telling you the truth.
Sure.
They can present themselves as a woman. They could be a man. They could think you're a child. And one thing I want to stress, we're very careful. We talk to them real good when we tell them why we're there, a clearing and cleansing. The unseen have as many rights to me as what the homeowner does.
Mm-hmm.
And we do give them a chance to pass on. It's not like we just want to kick them out of the house, and
Oh, yeah.
we treat them with respect. And
Yeah. Explain clearing and cleansing.
clearing and cleansing is that we'll go in, first of all, we identify ourselves and what we're going to do. We tell them what we're going to do, and we try to, every single time we've been involved in one, there's different levels to this. I won't go into a lot of them because they get pretty intense, but we basically have an agreement. The homeowner is always there. You have to be there. You can't have somebody else do your so-called dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So they're with us, and they agree that the unseen can stay. Don't bother me. Don't turn my TV off. This and that. We did a clearing and cleansing in Princeton. Debbie, I never knew Debbie back then. It was quite a while ago. But we had to go there about 6 times, and we actually had a witch help us at the end, and she did a very good job. And the woman's been living there. Barb's been living there for about 5 years now, peaceful and quiet. But a cross flew off the wall, hit a guest investigator in the ankle, and he was a captain of the police department. I was sort of surprised.
Scared the wits out of him.
Well, he was actually going into shock. I mean, he was shivering real bad and we had to talk to him and calm him down. But we've seen a lot of things.
Cross came off of the wall and hit him.
Yeah, it flew off the wall, and there was no way. It was a family room.
Sometimes.
But,
It sounds like something out of The Exorcist. Things flying. Tell us about more experiences like that. Things move around while you're there?
Well, that same house, we're down in the basement, and John said, look over there. And I look. I don't see anything at all. I'm looking at a corner where the steps come down. It's dark, of course. And I said, oh, my God, John. I said, I can't believe it. And I looked a couple times. They had a little box about this big. It had all these lights to indicate the status of the burglar alarms and everything like that. Somebody or something would stand in front of that. It would go black, nothing there. Mm-hmm. Then apparently they would move. Then you would see the lights again. I've seen that 2 or 3 times. That was amazing.
Is it something?
Shadow figures.
Shadow figures? Is this something that, as we talked about being sensitive to, is it something that everyone has the ability of, if they're quiet in their house, they hear things? Because nowadays there's a lot of new housing. But where we grew up and how we grew up, it was all old stock. Somebody else lived there before you lived there. Now they're building their own homes and they're the first inhabitants. But we've lived in houses where maybe generations of people lived prior to us.
Yeah, it had a whole incarnation before you moved in.
Yeah, so how does that work out? Are those spirits, a lot of times you find, still hovering around?
A lot of times.
I've had experiences where houses have been demolished, buildings have been demolished, burnt down or whatever. I had investigated them before, and I've come back, and they're still there.
Mm-hmm. The spirits are
they're
still
still
They
talking
exist
to me.
in a different kind of time than
when
we
they
do.
When they had all that fracking and stuff, they destroyed this one house, and somebody told me that they actually knew this guy. I can't remember what his name was. And I'd talk to him. Then I come back, and he's still there.
Mm-hmm.
I went to that house on Bridge Street I was telling you about that we lived in, and I went to the lot. My friend John Denome is the co-founder. He was with us. No responses at all. Then when I told them my name, I lived there, they wouldn't shut up. So that was intelligence. They just didn't want to talk to anybody, but when they knew there was a connection, oh my God, that's that little kid that used to live here 50 years ago.
Okay. Is it something that then they have more or less taken possession of? This is their place, they're not moving?
More or less.
Yeah, sometimes it's the actual property, not the building.
Okay. And you had mentioned something earlier, Joe, about you give them the opportunity to move on. Is that what they're looking for? What is it, before they leave the spirit plane or the earth plane, that they want some kind of verifications so they can move on to the next plane?
Yes, we'll light we'll call a holy candle. Okay, we'll light it. And we'll stare at the light while we're praying, and we visualize that light just getting bigger and bigger. We ask for God's help to send his angels down. Any deceased family members, please come over and take your family with you. And this and that. We've actually heard them say that I'm going to the light now.
Mm-hmm.
And one house, Debbie Fitzgerald, she's not here. She had the Kinect camera. It's a little thing that makes little figures. And you could actually see small figures walking in that light and disappearing.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't use that as evidence.
No,
I'm just an observer.
No. And as you say that, and I'm thinking there may be people listening to this who are saying, yeah, but they're deeply religious, and they're sitting there giving the sign of the cross right now because they think that this is something that's spooky and we shouldn't mess with. We shouldn't mess with that spirit world. And how do you explain it?
Well, I explain it like this, is that that's why I call me unseen.
Mm-hmm.
You call me a necromancer because I'm trying to talk to the dead. And I said, well, how do you know it's the dead that are answering? It could be anybody, anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's...
We're not sure what they are.
We always have a kind word for them.
Yeah.
Just like...
it's a good way to start with that.
You have a conversation. We don't... You go to these sessions, you don't want to ask the same old questions been asked 10,000. You ask them, did you hear what the score of the Pirates game was? Who do you think's going to win president? You like? We have an engaging conversation. They like that.
Yeah, with the Pirates, they probably said we need new ownership. Yeah, the spirit world said new ownership. We need somebody to bring in some new blood.
Yeah,
Speaking of blood. There used to be a place in Elwood City called the Bucket of Blood. That was
I know.
That was Pee Wee's restaurant. But
I know quite a bit about that.
Is that what you're talking about when you talk about?
Pee Wee's was down the street. It was different establishments.
All right, yeah.
It had quite a bit of history, and I went to the Historical Society in Elwood. They gave me some more information. I found out why they called it the Bucket of Blood. We used to do the ghost tours when we were healthier. She just had a bad accident, and my knees aren't very good, but we'd go around, and I would tell the history of that. One old guy worked in the post office so he could actually see the back of the bar, the building. And one time it was like Wilson's butcher shop or something like that before it was a bar.
Long ago.
They would get the dead cows in. They would slit the throat and or pigs, and they would drain into a bucket. And some farmers, I've actually talked to them, believe it or not, would actually get a cup of that blood and drink it. It's not because of the fights, but I'm believed that's why they call it the Bucket of Blood.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, they used to, butchers used to do a lot of, my grandmother used to cut the heads off of chickens in the backyard, and they used to run around without their heads on.
Taste the blood and make sure it's fresh.
Yeah.
Terrified when I seen that as a child. It just bothered me a lot.
Okay. And I read also that you investigated McDowell's Inn in Koppel. Was that one of the places that you've been to? You didn't get to that one?
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
But, of course, in Beaver County, there are a lot of entities that are around. You mentioned, the image of your mother wearing your mother's bathrobe and slippers without the head. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking about the headless pig woman on Candleton Road.
We have a lot of evidence from that. Mm-hmm. And I was told by Mike, I can't pronounce his last name. That was a long time ago. He said, we're the only ones that ever got a lot of evidence from it. Yeah. We got some good. That was a scary place. Not scary, but you knew something was going on.
Yeah. And we're just about out of time, but in going forward, what are you looking for? What are some of the other things? Where do you invite the public in to when you're doing these things?
Well, our forum is basically to get more people involved if they want to get involved. We sometimes we'll say we're going here and there. If anybody wants to go, let us know. And it's to educate the public that, you don't have to be scared.
Yeah. You just did one in Wampum. Where do you have another one scheduled?
Yes, we have one at the Grove City Historical Society Museum.
Okay.
Beautiful place.
Oh,
the greatest people to work with. I mean, they have a huge basement and 3 floors, and they have beautiful collectibles and historic items, and it's well displayed, immaculate.
And where can people get more information on digital paranormal investigations?
You can go on Facebook. If you type that in, it'll take you right there. Then an administrator will let you right in.
Okay, very good. Joe?
You got one more second?
Go ahead.
I'll play a Beaver County EVP if it's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Word and in, and this woman, I ask a name, and she says her name's Sarah.
Would you like to tell us your name, please?
I heard that.
Oh, yeah,
that was
clear.
Interesting.
Yeah, very clear. Okay, all right. Cool. We'll stay in touch with the spirit world and stay in touch with you at the Digital Paranormal Investigations.
Well, thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Joe.
It was very enjoyable for us.
Thank you, Deb.
Yes, thank
for
you.
being with us. And
Absolutely.
May good spirits follow you as well. I'm Mike Romai, and this is the Best of Beaver County on the St. Barnabas Radio Network.
Thank you for listening to the Best